Welcome back to week 2 of Battle for the Crown. We are Royally Rumbled. I'm Jordan.
I'm Robert.
And today, Robert, we are kicking off episode 32 of our podcast with week 2 of the Battle for the Crown between AEW Dynamite and NXT.
Yes, and because last week we gave the win to NXT, that is the show that we both decided to watch live and then watch the replay of AEW. And that's how we're going to kind of go forward with it. Whichever show wins, we're going to watch live the next week. It's like a champion's advantage.
Yeah, and since we watched NXT live, we're going to lead off with NXT. So, let's talk about it. NXT from October 9th, 2019. We're leading off, kicking the show off hot with Lio Rush taking on the Cruiserweight Champion, Drew Gulak.
The NXT Cruiserweight Champion, Drew Gulak.
That's true. That's very true.
They've been very specific in changing the name.
Yes, I do like the title rebrand. I was kind of hoping that they'd change the title, but whatever, we got a purple strap.
There's still an opportunity to change the title. Don't hold out hope yet.
Yeah.
Because it's got the big WWE logo in the center of it. Mm-hmm. It's more than likely going to be slightly redesigned with an NXT logo in the middle, I would imagine.
I would love for that title, even if they didn't change any of the plates, I would love for that title to be gold plated with a black strap. Because I've seen people on like Instagram change the colors and stuff or make a custom one, and it looks beautiful.
Awesome that way. So getting into the match, I was so excited that Lio is back, because I think I've told the story on the podcast before, but I saw him on an ROH episode that I caught one time, and I texted you about him. I'm like, dude, this guy's so small, but his moveset's ridiculous, and I was excited when he got to NXT. He's had some real rocky situations on NXT, but it's cool that he was able to take a break, come back collected, and suddenly be thrust into the Cruiserweight title picture.
Yeah, I'm just very happy to see Lio back, and this is a perfect example of why, because he's so damn good in the ring. And then taking a guy like Drew Gulak, who was my personal favorite to win the Cruiserweight Classic a couple of years back, really good showcase for him.
Two wildly different styles that got to clash here, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it started off really hot, really fast-paced, Lio Rush hitting those suicide dives, and then Gulak just slowing it down.
Yep.
With the joint manipulation, the submissions, the mat wrestle, like it was really good, really well-paced match.
Yeah, and then Drew kicked Lio off the top rope out to ringside, it looked nasty.
Yeah, he like landed on like the timekeeper and stuff, and those chairs on the outside. At first, I wasn't sure what they were doing, but once I realized that's where they set it up, I was like, oh my God. Yeah. Watching that replay back, I was like, that was disgusting.
Then there was a really neat diving clothesline, the DDT, and then the Gulak.
Such a cool name for his finisher, considering his last name.
Yeah, it's a dragon sleeper with body scissors, which I love that submission. I use that in the WWE video games all the time.
And Lio sold it perfectly.
Yeah. Then he reversed it, and then Drew hit a cyclone crash on him.
So cool. And then later on, Lio hit a frog splash. He twisted in midair and connected with a frog splash, and I popped for that. I thought that would have been it. And then the match continued.
We got the springboard stunner that he calls the come up because he hits it on the bottom rope, which I think is such an interesting way to do that move. It's a neat little wrinkle that I haven't seen anybody do before.
Yeah, dude. He like goes fully through those ropes too. He doesn't even springboard. He like sits on it and bounces
Yeah.
back.
His legs are entirely out of the ring, and then he bounces backward and hits that stunner.
And Gulak sold
then,
that.
Yes. And then he raced to the top rope and finished it off with a bigger frog splash than the first one, and then got the surprise victory. I was legitimately shocked. Were you shocked by this?
As the match broke down, I started to think that he had a better chance. Going into it, I thought Gulak was going to beat him and we'd continue on, but no, he friggin' the longer that match went, the more I was like, okay, he's going to win this. He's going to win this. He can do this.
Because Gulak wasn't able to put him away.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, the longer it went, the better it was for Leo.
Yeah. Once he escaped that Dragon Sleeper, I was like, This is it.
Yep.
It was a cool moment. It was really cool to see Gulak come up and hand him the title.
Yeah. I thought that was huge. Because I guess that's the first time that they've wrestled on NXT or, like, anywhere. Right? Because they didn't wrestle on 205 Live or anything.
I don't think they were ever against each other because they were both heels.
Right. So it was a really interesting that Gulak came out and gave him the handshake and, I mean, shoved the title into him, but gave it to him.
Yeah.
I'd love to see them have another match or two.
Yeah, because weren't you saying you were expecting like a takeover level match for them?
I did. Well, that was like, I definitely thought Leo was going to lose. Like once Gulak locked in the Dragon Sleeper, I was like, all right, well, it's going to end here, and then we're going to get another match at TakeOver with the two of them, and it's going to be awesome. I was completely shocked. Completely shocked.
Let's talk about Rhea Ripley versus Aaliyah.
Dude, Ripley just has this look that, like, she's menacing and terrifying.
Everything about her.
But, like,
so good.
There's absolutely something about her that's just like, holy shit, she's ready to kill you.
I will say, though, when Aaliyah hit that back rake, I popped. Because you don't see a back rake in wrestling anymore. I always used to hit that move in the Nintendo 64 video games.
Yep.
And then my buddy Eric, who wrestles on the independent scene, his Instagram handle is Fear the Back Rake, because that always used to be his finisher back in the day. It was a back rake.
That's awesome.
But also good on Aaliyah, because there was one point where Rhea Ripley hit her with a snapmare. And normally when people do the snapmare kick, they sit up. She stood up. She sold up onto her like knee. Yes. And got kicked in the lower back. And it was like a different way to take that move that made it look really good.
Yeah. Because it looked like Rhea had so much force in ripping her down that it set her up on her knees.
Yep.
And then Rhea hit a series of short arm clotheslines that looked disgusting.
Yeah, and then, holy shit, because that scorpion hold into the spin out face buster.
Dude, unbelievable how cool that was.
Insane. And I've seen her use that scorpion hold before, but I don't think I've necessarily seen her do the spin out face buster part.
No, because it's basically like a standing scorpion deathlock, right? Or basically like a standing sharpshooter with her arms.
Yeah.
And then she was holding it, and like Aaliyah's just like taking the pain, and then Rhea just starts spinning, and I was like, dude, what is going on? And then she just, with tons of force, just drove her into the mat, and I was like, this is insane.
Yeah. Great way to finish that match. It was a squash match, but it was a fun match. I'm glad that Rhea called out Shayna after the match too.
Oh my god, I can't wait for the two of them to hit each other.
Yeah, that was bad.
I can't wait for that match. Following that, we had a surprise. I felt like this was a surprise match. I didn't know that this was on the card, and the entrance itself was a surprise because we didn't know who was coming out.
I'm thinking, oh god, it's going to be Heavy Machinery.
I thought Heavy Machinery. I thought maybe it's just some jobber team, whatever. And it turns out it was Tyler Breeze and Fandango. They came out to like construction sounds, like not their normal entrance music, and they were wearing hard hats and reflective gear and like a tool belt that had no tools in it, as was so aptly pointed out by the announce team. And I laughed hard at it because it was funny. And what made me laugh the most was Fandango's dancing.
His gyrating.
His fucking gyrating, dude. It was amazing. I was laughing my ass off at it. I was like, this is such a nice, like, it's so nice to be able to watch this and just be like, that's stupid, but I like it, you know?
Dude, I was thinking like the whole time, I'm like, there was no other team like Breezango.
No other team could get away with that. No other team. And then the entrance music played for their opponents.
Yeah, which was supposed to be 3.0. I love those guys.
Yeah, and they came out draped over Jackson Riker's shoulder,
which was
and
awesome.
Being dragged behind him.
Dude, it was such a great spot. Like, I loved it. Because you see something like that in a film and you're like, oh man, the bad guys are here. This is going to suck.
Exactly. Dude, exactly. And then he stood on the stage after he dumped them off of him. And then Forgotten Sons entrance music played, and they just took the spot. They just were like, nope, it's our match now. Which I thought was definitely cool. And there were some cool spots in this match, but it was kind of short.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a solid match. Steve Cutler hit Breeze with a killer backbreaker. Like, he hesitated him and then dropped him on his knee.
And, I mean, obviously, Forgotten Sons, they do a pretty good job of the tag team tandem maneuvers. So they hit a lot of those. There was a huge hot tag over to Dango, who hit an awesome Falcon Arrow.
Yeah, and then at one point, Breeze hit a tucked super kick in the corner. And then Dango came off the top with a sunset flip, set out powerbomb. And it looked... It looked like that was going to be it.
I definitely thought that it was over there, but it was not.
No, eventually Jackson Riker paid dividends for them, and then they hit the Memory Remains to end the match, which is that powerbomb into the knees.
Looks cool. It always looks cool.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, the Buckle Bomb is the move that ended Sting's career, so Memory Remains is a legit finish.
They're getting better. They're growing on me. It's taking a while, but they're growing on me.
Mm-hmm. So after that match, we were treated to Boa. He came out. This is not the first time we've seen him on NXT, but he kind of got a longer entrance, and they kind of hyped him up a lot. And then Cameron Grimes came out, and all of a sudden the match was over. Cameron Grimes hit that double foot stomp, and that was it. And then Killian Dane just showed up and beat the shit out of Boa. And Cameron Grimes walked away, and that was it.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. I don't know why they're giving Cameron Grimes Braun Strowman debut matches. You know, I don't get it.
He doesn't get paid by the hour, Robert. Obviously,
yeah,
nobody ever gets paid by the hour.
I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of this. I thought that giving Bo the extended entrance, we were at least going to see what he could do, and it was over before I could I blinked and it was over.
Yeah, it was a legitimate squash match.
So, I mean, it is what it is. There's really not much to say about it.
No, could have been a lot better.
Should have been a lot better. Speaking of a lot better.
Oh my God.
The match that followed that was Roderick Strong, the North American champion, taking on Isaiah Swerve Scott.
They did a really good job of putting over Scott on commentary during his entrance.
Very much so. I really loved Swerve's quote-unquote innovative offense. The jumping sidekick, that cartwheel splash that he does against the ropes, basic all of the stuff that he does. He's so fun to watch because you never know what he's going to do next.
And he's so fluid in the ring.
Yes.
His movements, even when Strong was like going for some strikes and kicks and stuff and he was dodging them, the way he was dodging them is fluid, smooth as hell. Love it. Love Shane Strickland. Love Isaiah Swerve Scott.
Love Killshot.
Legitimately. Morrow referenced it. Did you pick up on that?
Yes, I was going to say he shouted the name Killshot out, which I thought was awesome.
So cool. I can't get enough of this guy. I thought they told a fantastic story in the ring. The way they were laying into each other with those chops. Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of chops.
Holy chops. I literally said that out loud. I was cringing. And then like Roddy's over there putting in work. Truly the messiah of the backbreaker.
Backbreakers. The draping DDT. Strickland hit that flatliner, that like jumping flatliner. He hit that, I don't even know what he calls it, that like jumping back kick to the side of the head.
I think he named it on Twitter, but I cannot for the life of me think of the name right now. So if you're listening to this and you know, tweet us at Royally Rumbled and let us know the name of that finishing move.
Swerve's kick is called this. That's what we want you to tweet us. The slingshot double stomp to the outside.
Dude. Oh my God.
How great was that spot?
Holy shit. all of that. He was just offense. All offense on Strong that match. And I'm shocked he got... Because when I saw this match was originally going to happen, I wasn't sure if it was going to be like an Undisputed Era shenanigan thing where they come out and beat him down. And that kind of happened, but not really.
Right.
But one thing that I noticed that Strong did, which is a really subtle thing, is when there's an opponent down, normally wrestlers will like punch them in the head and they'll like attack or whatever just to mount some offense. What Strong did was he placed his knee on the chest of Swerve while he was beating him down. And I just thought that was a really subtle thing that I don't think anyone else does. But it makes sense because now you are channeling the offense and you can kind of control his body a little bit more, making it easier for you to rain down punches.
And if you knocked him down to get him there, you're keeping him from getting his breath entirely.
Yeah. It's just little shit like that.
Roddy eventually hits the end of Heartache and then rolls that into the Stronghold, and Swerve tapped out.
What a great match. This was my match of the night for NXT for me. I might be a little biased when it comes to Swerve Scott here, but
I did like the Undisputed Era came to the ring and cut a promo. Velveteen interrupted. There was the whole bit with the picture of Roddy and stripping him of the title, which I thought was great.
And Marina Shafir has been defending him on Twitter ever since.
That's amazing. And then Ciampa came out and took the ring from the Undisputed Era, and all he said, 2 words, "Daddy's home."
Yeah, that was a great little segment there. And I think we're going to lean closer to seeing like a tag team match. I've got to imagine Ciampa's going to team up with Velveteen Dream, possibly Johnny Gargano, to take on Undisputed Era.
I mean, it would be it would be the 3rd year in a row if they went with it, but we could get Undisputed Era in War Games.
Who's another team that you'd put in there? Like they're the best faction NXT has.
Yeah. And then you throw together Ciampa Gargano, Velveteen, and you could throw Riddle in there.
Oh, you make it for all the gold.
And you can make it for all. Winner takes all.
Oh, my God.
War games.
That's what's
happening.
happening.
Could you imagine?
That's what's happening.
Could you imagine?
Oh, man.
I just fantasy booked myself into a...
Dude, you got to have Finn Balor in there.
He could have been the other one, too, so you might not get Riddle, you might get Balor.
Or no, you'll probably get Riddle and Balor instead of Gargano.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
what
cool.
a great match.
Yeah.
Who's the tag team you put in there? Street Profits?
Yeah. I mean, they're the most recent, so sure.
Good things on the horizon. Speaking of good things, let's talk Dakota Kai versus Bianca Belair.
I'm so happy to see Dakota back. She's a lot of fun in the ring.
She is. She's got a great personality. She's got a great look and a great moveset. It started off a little weird. Like, it felt like they weren't meshing well. It's like their pacing was off at the beginning of the match. But they pulled it together, and once Dakota Kai broke out in her shine in the match, it picked up.
Yeah, and I think Bianca Belair's offense, I mean, she took a beating for 3/4 of that match. But when she was able to lay in, man, she's got some sick power moves. Sick power moves.
She does. She looks good throughout the whole match. She looked strong. And then when she hit that standing star press, I popped so hard.
Yep. I was like, whoa! It actually popped me, like legitimately popped me.
And then it was a clean finishing sequence where Bianca reversed her into her finish. So it was a fun match. And then Bianca basically staked her claim for the NXT Women's Championship again.
She did. It was a good promo. She was basically like Rhea Ripley needs to get in line, or someone's gonna make her get in line.
Which I've got to imagine there's going to be like a contenders match or even a triple threat for that title.
Oh man, I hope it's a triple threat.
Going to be great.
I hope it's a triple threat. And then we got to the main event of the evening, which was hyped up last week, which was the United Kingdom champion Walter taking on Kushida.
Yeah, they had some really good back and forth with each man like taunting the other at the beginning of the match.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kushida went into that crazy chain wrestling and like tapped him on the head. I was like, yes.
Yeah, a lot of mat-based stuff, which I thought was very interesting to go with. And also, to kind of piggyback on something that we talked about last week with AEW, Kushida is obviously the undersized competitor here.
I was just going to say this.
He is smart in the ring, and he uses the ring to his advantage, along with his speed and quickness, and doesn't lay in and stay on Walter to give him an advantage over him. He uses that to his advantage. He draped him over the ropes. He did all sorts of stuff that I thought was smart and logically made sense within the match.
Definitely. It was a very different dynamic for this match between their two styles, but they like meshed really well.
They had such great chemistry.
And like I was even thinking throughout this match, like I want to see this match again.
Yeah. Yeah, and even the match was able to come back from the Kushida botch towards the beginning where he tried to springboard in because he just didn't have his footing and kind of slipped. But Walter didn't miss a beat. He still hit the move he was supposed to hit. It was just in the opposite direction. And then obviously the Walter chops, chest pounding, just using his absolute brutal force and size to his advantage.
His size 15 shoe.
Yes, they kept bringing it up. That's a size 15 boot.
That was a good Morrow.
That's a pretty good moral.
Maybe for our next fantasy booking, I'll have you do Mauro Ranallo.
Oh, God.
You're in your head going, Mamma Mia right now.
Yeah, Mamma Mia!
Dude, that Kimura lock Spanish fly off the top rope.
Yes!
Holy shit.
That might have been my favorite spot.
I think it was.
In that match, because I didn't expect it at all. It was like I wrote down Avalanche Kimura lock slam, ! And then the other thing that they did in this match when they, I guess, laid it out or decided to do, Kushida worked a body part.
Yeah.
Kushida worked Walter's arm to take away the chopping, to take away his power, and to weaken him for his finish.
Mm-hmm. Which is that modified Kimura.
Yes. They kept calling it the
hoverboard lock.
Hoverboard lock?
Yeah, because Marty McFly.
Yeah, because he is Marty McFly, I guess?
Yes. He's the Japanese Marty McFly.
Walter hit a huge shotgun drop kick.
Yeah.
And then a power bomb.
Oh.
And it was a near fall.
Dude, the near falls had me so invested in this match.
Yes.
I couldn't look away. I couldn't, like I wasn't on my phone. I wasn't, like, eating. I wasn't, like, taking a drink. I was just invested and locked in.
Yes, 100%. And then Walter eventually hits a ripcord, clothesline, lariat, whatever you want to call it, and just put Kushida out for good.
Yeah. Such a good match. And I love that Imperium didn't interfere.
Yeah.
It was a very decisive victory.
Which I like when they do that. I like when there's a decisive victory.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's awesome that Imperium didn't interfere because they knew that Walter had it.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like you could totally just sell that on their arrogance in the ring.
Absolutely. And it makes everyone involved look better.
And then they were just waiting for him at the top of the ramp to do their little pose, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't beat him down. It wasn't a 4-on-1 beatdown on Kushida.
No, and I'm very glad that Walter stood tall at the end.
Still selling his arm, by the way. All the way up the ramp and with the title.
These are the kind of matches that you could potentially have wind up on your DVD.
Yes. Yes. It'll be like an interview segment, and somebody will be like, "Oh man, Walter Kushida on NXT TV, killer match, man," and then they'll just talk about it. So all that said, we added up our numbers, we hashed it out. This week's NXT, we gave a C.
Yeah, that's right. It was a really good show. Not as good as last week, but now the question is, did AEW fall short again, or did they redeem themselves and come away with the victory? Let's break that down right now. So let's do it. We're gonna talk AEW, leading off with the World Tag Team Tournament quarterfinal match between the number 1 seed, the Young Bucks, and the number 8 seed, Private Party.
Yeah, the show opened with the video package hyping the match up. I guess the Young Bucks were instrumental in bringing Private Party to AEW, which set this match up in a certain emotional level, which I thought was very cool.
Absolutely.
But this match, as advertised, right? Like, no stone unturned. These guys did everything.
This was my first time seeing Private Party, and I was hooked from the very beginning. From their entrance, I love their weighing in at 24 ounces of vodka cran.
that was great. And their entrance, where the bouncer let them in behind the velvet rope.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Like, talk about production value.
Yeah,
that's all fantastic. Between the video package and the entrance, you really got a feel for who these guys are. Yeah, the Young Bucks were like working from the start too.
3 missed super kicks right out of the gate.
But they did like legitimate tag team moves.
Yes.
There was a great
Yes.
tag team dynamic between both teams, and the Young Bucks were like legitimately, they were working holds, they were chain wrestling, like they did way more than super kicks, which was way more than we got to see from them last week.
Yes, a vastly better match this week than last week for them, for sure.
Yeah.
There was the acai moonsault towards the beginning, and then the sequence of topes and dives.
Dude, from Mark, that was
Yeah,
wild. Just going,
Yeah.
running, and just doing
and it
crazy
wasn't like
shit.
it wasn't like a regular quote unquote WWE sequence where they hit 3 suicide dives in a row to put somebody down. He hit very different over the top rope combinations.
Yeah, every time was different.
I think he did like a corkscrew, a front flip,
An
a
actual
suicide dive itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he did. It was like he was going through the moves that he had set on him in his move set.
I got to hit
He's like, oh, I have this one,
up an
and I have
A,
this one,
and
I
down
have
an
this
A,
one.
and then left an A, right an A. All right, cool. I got them all.
I got them all. That's what I thought of when I was watching.
That's funny. There was one point where Matt Jackson locked in a sharpshooter,
Yes.
but I did not like it because Tony Schiavone called it a Scorpion Deathlock. And I was
They
like,
were
no.
specific. Yep. They were specific in calling it a Scorpion Deathlock after that.
Yeah.
They said sharpshooter first to make you familiar, and it sounds like they're going to call the sharpshooter the Scorpion Deathlock going forward.
Which is very interesting since Bret Hart kind of presented your AEW Heavyweight
Title.
Championship.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now...
I think it's probably just because, honestly, WWE calls it a sharpshooter. So they just want it to be a different thing.
That's very true. I really liked the logic that they had within the match and commentary putting over the Young Bucks
Yes.
as the veterans.
Yeah. There was the sunset bomb onto the ramp.
Oh,
And then the bomb and sliced bread number 2
yep.
combination.
I thought that was it at that point. I was like, this is...
Oh no, there's still a half a match to go. the near hot tag, and then cut down off of the apron, which I thought was awesome.
That's fantastic tag team wrestling. And then the Matt hitting the 4 Northern Lights suplexes in a row.
Yeah,
and the last one hitting both members of Private
Yep.
Party.
They called it the Locomotion Northern Lights, and then a double Northern Lights.
And then the Scorpion Deathlock Facebuster combo.
Yes.
When Nick springboarded in, connecting with the Facebuster. But I really liked the fast crawl to the ropes by Cassidy at the end there.
Mm-hmm.
Because just when it seemed like he was about to tap, he booked it to the ropes, which
Yep.
I feel like in that sort of scenario, that's the way you need to handle it from an in-ring perspective, because you're not going to slowly crawl again to
Right.
make it more dramatic. I know WWE does that a lot. This seemed real.
Yeah, they put it over as he got a burst of energy or a second wind or something.
Or like
that.
he needed to get to the ropes fast because he couldn't hang on much longer. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Then there was a massive reverse Rana.
Oh,
And followed up with the Private Party, I guess, tag finisher. They call the Gin and Juice, which is the Rana from the top rope into a catch cutter, which I thought was awesome.
it looks good, and it kind of came out of nowhere too.
Yeah. They can hit that whenever they want.
It's not like one of those tag team moves where you need to set up. It just
You're right.
kind of happens. Like all of a sudden he's on the top rope, and then boom, he gets caught with an ace crusher.
And then a super shooting star press for a near fall.
Which, like, what the hell? And then the counter from the Meltzer driver.
Yes.
like great finish, compiling this with the storytelling with the Young Bucks as the veterans who brought them in, but they couldn't put them away. Yep. And the Young Bucks are looked at as like one of the best tag teams in the world.
And Private Party just upset them.
Huge step up from last week across the board. This match was better than all of AEW last week.
Yeah, it's hard to. From me, it's hard to argue. I'm sure people listening to this are like, "Screw you, Jordan." And then they went to a picture-in-picture commercial where we got to just watch everybody after the match lay around and sit in disbelief.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, picture-in-picture for that commercial break, and there was no action whatsoever.
That's weird.
And later on in the show, we cut away from an actual match that's happening in ring for a full-blown commercial with no picture-in-picture. So I don't understand that decision at all. So it is what it is. Also, during this match, JR, who last week I said I don't know how much longer he should be doing their commentary. I know he's a legend. I have all the respect in the world for JR, but I don't think he's doing a very good job for them. And during this match specifically, he told the audience to do a Google. So that take that however you want, I guess.
He almost called Jake Hager Jack Swagger.
Yep. He just said Jack, and then he just stopped talking.
And then he said Jake.
Yep.
So
super awkward. And that was during the next segment here, which was the Inner Circle's coming out party. In-ring promo by Chris Jericho.
It was a solid promo, dude. It was like a whole segment.
Yeah, classic Jericho. The only thing that there were two things technically that bothered me during this promo, specifically, was Sammy Guevara and Ortiz's fucking tongues hanging out of their mouths.
Dude, the whole time I was like, why is everyone sticking their tongue out?
I was like, I didn't realize everybody was such a big fan of the Bushwhackers. It's great that they're paying homage, but you put your tongue away. I hated when Miley Cyrus did it for that year. I don't like it now.
And like Sammy Guevara like did it as he does that as a way to get heat. Meanwhile,
I guess
Ortiz does it because he's crazy or something.
He literally looked like a Looney Tune character doing it.
Yeah, he looked like he was acting in a Lifetime made-for-TV film where they were like, just act like you're crazy.
Well, this is what crazy guys do, right?
But he's like smiling and he's like looking around and his eyes are all big.
It was a bit over the top cartoony.
Very over the top.
He literally looked like the Tasmanian devil for me. So
after that, we had a match between Jimmy Havoc versus Darby Allin. And the winner of this match will go on to wrestle Chris Jericho for the AEW World Championship next week. So we saw Jimmy Havoc enter. I dig his music. We got a picture-in-picture promo from him during the entrance. I
like that they do that. I do like that they do that because it's a good introduction to a character.
Yes. But I also like that it wasn't filmed in a studio like the way WWE does all of their picture-in-picture stuff. It felt more raw, and I liked that. No pun intended there, obviously. And I like feel my pain as a catchphrase.
I like it too if we would button it up a bit because it became the period at the end of all of his sentences.
Well, I also forgot that Jimmy Havoc was like English.
Yes.
So when I heard him speak, I was like, oh.
Yeah. So the match was not my cup of tea.
Well, they started out and they kind of mat wrestled a little bit, which caught me off guard because that was not the type of match that I was expecting from these two. And I've never really...
Well, they weren't just going to go to light tubes immediately.
Yeah,
Jordan.
right? I've never really seen either of them wrestle. Like, I never sat and I watched a full match of either of theirs. So this was my first exposure to them. And they're basically the same character. As soon as Jimmy Havoc started biting, I was like, oh, okay, that's more what I expected this to be.
Right. When Darby came out, I was like, why are these guys fighting? Why aren't they a tag team? Like, why aren't they a team? They have the same look. They clearly both very much enjoy the Cure. So I don't know why they're not a team.
I really think that they could have been a tag team in the tournament.
Yeah. Jimmy spit in Darby's face,
Which was gross.
Yes, always. But a great heat spot.
Yeah.
Darby did a fantastic arm drag to like lead off the match. It was really, really good. Jimmy started biting him. Then there was that weird cutter thing to the outside that was clearly messed up. I don't know who was supposed to take the beating on that. It looked like they both just were really hurt afterward.
Was that the suplex to the outside, or was that different?
Maybe it was the suplex to the outside.
No, they did
kind of just looked.
They just did a suplex,
but it wasn't like a clean suplex. It looked like a cutter. It looked like that move that Darby hit later on in the match.
Well, regardless, I like that they explained the face paint for Darby Allin, because they said half of him is dead, which I thought was pretty cool. And I also didn't realize that Darby Allin's also only 23 years old.
Really?
So it's like, how does he know what skateboarding is? He's too young.
He should be far beyond the Tony Hawk experience by then, so I don't know what the hell he's doing.
At that point. Darby Allin's actually, he should have a scooter, a Razor scooter.
That would be cool.
That would make more sense for his age range. But anyway, Havoc hit a very nice half and half suplex, like a sleeper suplex.
Yeah, that move made me pop huge because he was doing the guillotine sleeper in the corner before that. And then he hit the Death Valley driver into the corner, looked awesome. And then the Tiger driver, which I did not expect at all.
Yeah, dude, that looked wild. And then I really liked Darby biting Havoc to reverse out of the Acid Rainmaker.
Yes, that was awesome. And then Darby hits his, what would you even call it? The flip stunner?
I don't know. It's a dumb move.
And then finished it up with his patented coffin drop.
I hate that too. I don't like...
It's like Kofi's trust fall.
Yeah, I don't like when Kofi does it. I don't like when Darby Allin does it. It's just a backwards leap. It looks silly. It looks cartoony. Just do a splash. Like, it's way safer. But no, you're gonna drop backwards with your back and shatter your spine.
That one he actually landed pretty well. I've seen him take them in some really, really strange ways onto the Cracker Barrel barrels and onto the
edge of the
apron,
the edge of the ring. Oh my god!
Yeah,
disgusting.
Rough. He doesn't need to do that. I get that he's 23.
Oh, he's gonna feel that in 3 years.
Yeah,
every morning when he wakes up.
That very long. He's gonna be like the Rock and Roll Express age, and people are gonna be like, "Do the coffin drop," and he's gonna be like, "Well, here I go, Randy the Ram in it again." But Darby won by pinfall after the coffin drop, so he will face Jericho next week for the title.
That's true.
But really, these guys should just be a team.
Then we got a tag team match between B. Priestley and Sakura, who I thought was her manager at first.
I absolutely thought it was her manager at first.
Because we've had no previous introduction to these characters.
Yeah, we had the goth chick and the Japanese female Freddie Mercury.
And I like Bea Priestley. I've seen her work before. I like her. I like her style.
Right. Okay. But, I don't know why
Sakura.
she was in a team with the Japanese female Freddie Mercury. And that's not me ad-libbing. She was wearing his jacket and had his microphone.
And then they faced the team of Riho, the brand new AEW Women's Champion, and Britt Baker.
Dr. Britt Baker?
Wow, you sounded very upset because I didn't include the doctor.
DMD?
DMD.
DMD.
So, I thought it was interesting because commentary put over Riho's win-loss record, and the only loss she has is with Britt Baker on her team.
Right.
First of all, why was Riho going for a body slam? Logic 101. Why would a 98-pound woman try to body slam a much larger woman?
So when JR said how much she weighed, I thought he was being sarcastic. I thought he was like the 98-pound woman, like he was just threw a number out there. But yeah, she legitimately looks like she weighs as much as a third grader.
Oh God.
There were some cool moves in the match, but I think Sakura was in the match entirely too long.
Well, sure.
She got entirely too much offense in. She took entirely too much damage. Bea Priestley was hardly in the match at all. And that sucks because I don't know. There's a huge disconnect in the teams. Why were they teams? I don't know. I didn't understand the logic at all.
I don't know if Sakura was trying to work face, if she was trying to work heel.
Well, she seemed to change mid-move sometimes. They explained that Sakura had trained Riho.
Yeah, so I guess there goes our theory with Kenny Omega training Riho.
Maybe they both trained her. We don't know. I think she started her training when she was 9. Did you know Riho started training when she was 9? She was 9 when she started pro wrestling. Not 10. Not 10.
Is she still 9?
Just like she's not 100 pounds, she's 98.
I don't know. I hate that midway through the match, the non-legal women started brawling on the outside, but the action stuck with them.
Yep.
We were focused on that.
Because
which doesn't make any
couldn't
sense.
get a tag in because Sakura was in there starting the we will rock you" chant.
Oh God.
She was on the bad guy team.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that whole thing was just to focus on the crossbody to the outside, but still, like they could have done that so many different ways that would have made way more sense.
Yeah.
And Riho hit a victory roll into the double stomp. That was pretty cool.
Yep.
It was one of the cool moves that I saw.
But Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, won the match with a Rings of Saturn into a mandible claw.
Which is actually awesome.
Yeah, and it goes along with her constantly stating that she's a dentist.
She worked hard for that, all right?
I understand. I can't even imagine how much work that is. But she grabbed the lower jaw because she's a dentist. Like I thought that's the tie-in for that is perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
it
to
works.
lock it in a Rings of Saturn first is brutal to begin with.
Well, also like, and commentary could have put this over, but they didn't. But they could be saying something along the lines of, she's very familiar with the nerve endings within your jaw.
Right, and knows,
so she
where
knows
to
where
push.
to push.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done on commentary, which you could listen to my commentary anytime you want on Fight TV. Just search Backbreakers Entertainment, and I'm there. You'll probably hear me in about 6 months when those episodes catch up to when we tape them.
Cheap pop.
Cheap pop. Anyway, so then we get that Best Friends promo, which was very weird. It's almost like they were airing it during the commercial and then came back midway through.
And realized they were airing it, and we're like, cobble together something. And then, but really, the whole thing was just an introduction for Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, which is great because I love the dude.
And then Shawn Spears interfered in their promo situation, and I thought it was going to be like in addition to that segment, but it just they were just starting the next match.
Yeah, they were like, yeah, time's almost up, so let's get a move on here.
Yeah, just start the next match. Doesn't matter.
But then Jon Moxley came out to a
thunderous ovation.
Thunderous ovation.
The biggest response I think the crowd gave all night, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was his return match.
Yeah, of course.
So I kind of get it.
And we got Pac on commentary.
Yeah, which he actually did really well.
Right, he was like, "I'm better than these two," or whatever he said.
You're gonna do his voice next.
Oh,
too.
God damn it! I gotta stop. He did. He was really declaring. Anytime they did something that was like kind of cool, he's like, "I do that better," or it should be me in that ring. He was doing all that stuff. I thought that was great.
I thought Moxley looked really awkward getting into the ring to get in Spears' face.
Yep, that's what he does.
But Spears also looked very unnatural and uncomfortable when that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't really sure.
The match started super aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Tully seemed to want to interfere almost instantly, which I thought was a little strange. They just kind of brawled. It was just punches and kicks and elbows, and Moxley promised to use the elbow that was injured to harm Shawn Spears, and that's if you go back to his WWE days, he likes to use elbow drops from varying heights.
From various heights. I like that JR pointed out that Tully interfered basically, and nobody said a word. So I was like, referee's discretion is a thing apparently. So the referee doesn't care when Jon Moxley takes a member of a 6-man tag out of the match, and apparently doesn't care that Tully Blanchard was literally on Jon Moxley's back during the match.
Yeah.
And then went on to do it again.
Yeah. He tried to get involved a lot.
Like you said, Moxley started that match off, and Spears did not get a single lick of offense in, and it didn't make him look good.
No.
Until Tully fully interfered, Spears didn't do anything.
They were on the outside for a good portion of the match also.
Mm-hmm.
And Spears did a Death Valley driver to the barrier.
Dude, that was really cool.
Which was a really cool spot. And then they did a replay of it because it was one of the only big spots in the match.
Yeah. And I think the first half of the match, until Spears started getting heat and giving heat to Moxley.
Yeah.
I thought the first half was terrible. Second half picked up a little bit for me.
Yeah.
After that Death Valley driver into the barricade, Moxley's running knee looked great that he hit in the ring. Mm-hmm. That should be his finisher.
It should. But even before that, Shawn Spears hit a very weak knee in the ring and then did a very weak suicide dive to the outside. And then Moxley answered with a much better suicide dive to the outside. I don't know. Honestly, it seemed like Spears was really out of it from the get-go. I don't think he looked good in this match at all.
I mean, I guess it's probably because he got stuck wrestling Jon Moxley.
And there goes the podcast.
I'm just saying. Where's the lie?
There was a good chop exchange after the running knee that Moxley hit, followed by Spears hitting a totally cold, out of nowhere Oshigoroshi, or however you say that fucking move.
Yeah, that was his finisher. That was the tiebreaker or something in WWE.
Moxley answered that with a massive headbutt.
Well, Spears set up for his finisher, and then they
Yep.
transitioned into the paradigm shift, I guess is what he's calling it now.
Right. It's not the Death Rider anymore. It's the Paradigm Shift, which Spears did not get up for
Nope.
at all.
It's a silly move.
Well,
like
we can argue that it's a silly move, but when sold correctly or better,
via Kenny Omega last week.
i.e. Kenny Omega last week, Juice Robinson took it really well in New Japan. There's been instances where it's looked good because the guy receiving it gets up, and Spears. I don't honestly. I think something was wrong.
I don't know.
I don't know
but
what happened.
I also think Moxley does it kind of lazily.
Yeah, he didn't.
He doesn't look like he's putting effort into it.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He just does it.
He doesn't look like he's trying to lift you. It's really all you. If you want to sell it for him, that's fine. If not, he's just going to do it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it looked like.
So, could be on both people's parts. But I agree, Spears looked off.
Yeah.
Especially in his first TV match.
Yeah. It's not what I'm used to seeing from him.
No.
At all. Like, I'm used to him quick and it just, something's different. I don't know if it's just because he got married recently, so he's just slowing down or something. Like, I have no idea what the issue is, but there was definitely something off about him. I don't know, maybe he got his bell rung early in the match and didn't realize,
that's entirely
and it just
possible.
slowed him down. You know, there was something off about it. And then we got a really interesting situation after that match. Kenny Omega appeared on the ramp just to be able to say, I guess, that he's been on both shows. He had a barbed wire bat and a barbed wire broom, and he tossed Moxley the bat, and I wanted to sword fight him, I guess. And Pac had enough and attacked Omega from behind. And then Moxley did not indulge in a prone adversary on the floor, just threw the bat down and walked away. Because if he's going to inflict pain on somebody, it's going to be on his terms. You don't tell him to inflict pain on somebody or something.
He wouldn't hit a guy with glasses. Like John Moxley just, like, it comes out that he's a very polite person.
Oh,
like,
I'm not going to hit him while he's down.
Yeah, I'm not going to hit him while he's down. I can't hit a guy with glasses. I won't wrestle a girl.
Gentleman John Moxley. He starts jumping off the top rope with the umbrella. To do an elbow drop that takes forever to land. So yeah, and then we got into the main event, which was Dustin Rhodes and Hangman Page as a team taking on Chris Jericho, the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, and his compatriot in the Inner Circle, Sammy Guevara.
Yeah, started off good. I'm really becoming a big fan of Hangman Page.
Yes.
His entrance, I thought Dustin's entrance was really cool.
Yes.
But like as far as the match goes, one thing that I was very confused about was Dustin going after Jericho.
Yes.
After he like quick tagged in and out.
Yes.
I thought that was a really weird way to start, and why Sammy didn't immediately go after Dustin when he was beating up Jericho on the outside doesn't make any sense to me.
But something I did pop for at the beginning, Hangman hit a fall-away slam almost right out of the gate.
Dude, I loved it. And then he like kipped up from it and hit something else.
Yeah.
So good. Just becoming like a legitimate fan of his. Dustin and Hangman looked good working together.
They did.
They looked really good. They flowed really well. All of their moves looked crisp. And I expect that fully from Dustin. He's so good. Mm-hmm. Very underappreciated and very underutilized. And I'm really glad he's got this platform.
Right. Hangman also hit, looked like a pump handle fall-away slam, and then bridged into a pin.
Yes.
That move should be his finish forever. Because that's probably one of the coolest, most innovative things I've seen in a while. Mm-hmm. When he bridged, I was like, he did the pump handle fall. I was like, that's pretty sweet. and then he bridged up. I was like, wait a second here. We just took it to another level.
Yeah, and it's little subtleties like that go a long way. I didn't like that Sammy didn't get any offense in that entire part of the match. Dustin and Hangman just sort of ragdolled him. Mm-hmm. Dustin hit a move, and then Hangman hit a running knee, and then Dustin hit like that side slam, and then Hangman hit a standing star press, and it just, the combination going back to earlier when I said they worked really well as a unit, that looked awesome. That looked like they've been teaming for months.
Mm-hmm. Then the heels eventually took over, and they began isolating Hangman in their corner, which I thought was cool because it had like the back and forth that the match needs.
Yeah, no, there was really good separation of Hangman from the corner.
And then Hangman eventually hit that massive discus clothesline.
Oh my God, the discus lariat. Oh my God.
Out of nowhere, and just changed the entire complexity of the match.
And I will say Sammy bumps like crazy.
Yeah. And that allowed Hangman the time to get the hot tag to Dustin. And the match just took off from there.
Yep. Dustin hit that big crossbody on both Jericho and Sammy.
Yep.
Looked awesome. Looked
and then
great.
Hangman fell into the camera doing a moonsault.
Dude, like, right
into the camera shot doing a moonsault. It came out of nowhere.
Yeah. I wasn't even ready for it.
JR and them even like had commented on it. They were just like, where did he come from? He just fell from the sky.
He was just moving so fast.
Yeah. And then you know, the numbers game, because Jake Hager was out there with Jericho. He dispatched of Hangman on the outside.
Then Jake Hager comes in and cuts him off, and then Jericho hits the Judas effect for the win.
Yep. And then the aftermatch shenanigans began again. 2 weeks in a row, AEW decided to end the show with crazy aftermatch brawling. So it really is feeling like the heir apparent to what WCW left off with.
Yep.
To that point, there's no consistency of heel to face. The 3-on-1 starts on Dustin in the ring. Hangman comes in and saves it. Hits Hager with a chair on the outside or whatever. The lights go out, and Cody's in the ring.
Yeah, I don't know why Cody did the lights out gimmick.
He's supernatural now. Maybe
he's like, I pay the bills here. I told them to shut the lights off.
Maybe he's going to be AEW's undead biker wizard.
Cody Rhodes coming out to Limp Bizkit.
He hit a crossroads on Sammy Guevara. Then Ortiz and Santana came out. And then MJF came out to make the save to an outpouring of applause, which I get. But last week, he was the biggest heel in the company.
Yeah, and people were saying, oh, he's going to be the biggest heel.
Which I agree with, but now he's face because he's saving the good guys.
Because he's friends
with Cody. And Cody, at the beginning of last week, because there was like a double turn in the Sammy-Cody match, apparently. Because Cody started off as the heel, but then the crowd was hot for him, so he was a face, and they were booing Sammy. It was very, like...
It was very confusing.
A lot going on. A lot going on. We were booing MJF last week because he was telling everybody that they suck. Though the crowd, they were bad. He doesn't like anybody. Was a bully to the guy that he was in the ring with, and now he's making the save and everybody's cheering for him.
But it was like it ended weirdly too. But it ended weirdly too because MJF came out and like they did the whole like, is he gonna hit Cody thing? But like at first they were like, oh, he's here, he's best friends with Cody, and it's like, are we supposed to know that they're best friends? Did they address that ever in a TV
Not on
episode
television.
before? No.
They haven't addressed that. They've addressed it in all of the stuff that they do outside of TV, but they don't. It hasn't been a thing on TV yet until now, obviously. Then Jericho hits a code breaker, and then the Young Bucks come out.
Then the Young Bucks come out.
Right. Then the Young Bucks come out. So it was just absolute pandemonium. I don't think that it necessarily, like, it's not one of the matches, so it's not something that we're counting towards our grade. But just overall, the confusion factor in consistency, in who is who, who's with who, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I know they're still setting the groundwork for what they want to do, because I feel like eventually, I guess MJF's going to have to turn on Cody now, right?
Yeah.
To lay the groundwork this early. But, I mean, but overall...
but don't forget Darby Allin skateboarded in and took out Jericho.
Oh, that's right. I ran out of space in my notes to even put that.
Yeah, I
ran out of space. Darby Allin did skateboarded in and attacked Jericho also.
Which
and then
was
he
cool.
got in the ring with the Elite. Darby Allin got in the ring with the Elite.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I know he's not part of their group because they don't match. MJF came out in a suit. Cody came out in a suit. Darby rode a skateboard. Like, we know those things don't go together.
Well, because he's facing Jericho, so like...
Right, no, right.
I don't like that they're building Jericho Cody so much, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, here's another championship match.
Yeah, because
like,
it almost seems like there's no hope for Darby to win,
no.
So why have it?
So, I don't know, we'll see what happens next week. But, so, considering the matches, taking everything into account, we've decided to give AEW Dynamite a B.
That's right. They win week 2, according to us. So, for whatever that's worth, they have the crown for this week. So it is now even at 1-1, and we get the rubber week next week.
Yeah, big week of wrestling ahead. The continuation of the tag team tournaments. We're also getting some killer matches on NXT. It's such a great time to be a fan of professional wrestling.
And an even better time to be a fan of your boys Royally Rumbled. So if you'd like to give us a follow on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, just search Royally Rumbled.
And if you want to follow us individually, I, Jordan, can be found on Instagram and Twitter at JL24FPS.
And I, Robert, can be found on Instagram and Twitter at Yesball.
For Royally Rumbled, I'm Jordan.
I'm Robert.
Thanks so much for listening. Make sure you tune in every single Friday on your favorite podcast platform to find out who wins the battle for the crown.